come in and see all the progress that you hoped, or you see immediately the progress that yet to be made?
I think you see both. They did a really nice job. We kind of talked after last season. We were kind of banged up and bruised all season, and it just kind of wasn't our year in some regard, kind of with the luck we had with injuries. But the challenge just was, what does it take to be great, and how do we go about getting there, and just getting after it every single day. And so, of course, when we leave for the spring, they're in here in the summer, on their own, kind of training with, captain's practices and whatnot. And so the challenge is, hey, when we come back, let's see improvement, and what does that look like, right? And so we saw some really nice things on day one and day two, and we've got a lot of options this year, which is nice. And we've kind of been, based on what we've seen, we've got some really nice floor defense going on, and we've got some big size up front, and so we're just kind of toying with what we can do.
That was a talking point defense with the players we just talked with. Is that something you've been emphasizing over the spring and summer, getting that better?
Yeah, I think we always emphasize it. It's just last year we had so many people out of position kind of randomly. It was just, in some cases, it wasn't fair. And, this year it was, we brought in a grad transfer, Vanessa Pan. We have Lily who's coming in. Caroline's, 1 year improved. Just all over the board, we've got better floor defense overall. We have more as well, which helps. And so, again, yeah, we're you got to score points, obviously, any way you can. One way is to actually kill the ball. The other way is to keep the ball off the floor to frustrate teams. And I think we're doing a nice job of that in practice right now.
How does the summer come together like it apparently did? Players said they had a lot of good work, but I mean, it's all on them. You can't.
Yeah,
I guess you can.
We can talk to them, and we can tell them, if you want to be good, you better be in there. And they know that too. And a lot of the spring prep work was actually off the court, just in the classroom, just kind of going through. Hey, here's some of the greats. Here's what they did. Here's what it was like, for Michael Jordan. Here's what it's like for we showed him the Redeem Team documentary about getting work in and just kind of redefining what that looks like, and kind of just asking questions about hey, what is a full day look like, and what is getting the proper amount of rest and recovery look like. And so just kind of going over just a lot of stuff in the classroom I think really helped, and it's a dedicated group, it's a committed group, and just looking forward to the season.
When you were in Chicago, as Fernando was talking about, playing with a little more tempo, offensive in the attack. Just what do you have to get from your passing to make that a realistic?
Yeah, it's got to be good enough to do it, right? And you have to have just all pieces kind of working in sync. And running with tempo is not easy to do. And I go back to when we did it a lot in 2018. It was not just a 2018 thing. It was kind of a 2-year build to get to that. And so as the years go on, you get more comfortable with certain personnel and just running different tempos. So the ball control does have to be there if you want to do it a lot. But even if you want to kind of put it in as a spot play or whatnot, you still have to be able to have comfortability in doing it with your setters and your hitters. And, I know they've been working on it, and based on what we're seeing, that's something we're definitely going to implement. How often are we going to do it? Not sure, but right now, based on the small sample size the last couple of days that we've seen, it looks pretty good, and it's something we'll continue to work on.
One spot on the field, one in the middle as well. Who's maybe in the mix there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think one of the benefits that we've seen, or one of the pluses that we've seen in this last couple of days, is that we've got a lot of good competition in the gym, and we've got a lot of players. And I just told him, I said, normally it's kind of you get a fixed roster, not a fixed, but you don't have too many spots moving around. So this year might be based purely on matchups and about what we do. And someone's not performing well, maybe we mix some things around. We've got players that can play several positions. It's kind of how we train in general. The middles don't just play middle. Sometimes they'll take a swing on the pin. Sometimes they'll take one on the right or on the left. And so we try to become a team that's kind of telling them like you want to be kind of unscoutable. If someone's watching you, and you can throw 3 different looks at them, it gets tough for them to scout you. We just kind of take that to heart and go from there. So we have a lot of good competition going. We've got a lot of good pieces. But a lot of the pieces that we have are very flexible in what they can do, and we've been seeing that. So looking forward to kind of the chess match, if you will, of coaching.
And some of those options are young, but how much did they have the Sophie and Kari were here a year ago, and then maybe the Taylor?
Yeah, absolutely. It's our season, as we just mentioned, is really short in terms of a onboarding, if you will. And so last year I told the freshmen, every year I tell the freshmen, I said, if you think you're going to play, then I'll mix you in there for sure. If I don't, then we're going to redshirt you, and we're going to at least let you go through a year. And whether your fifth year happens here or not, I'm not sure, but we at least want you to have that year to learn and kind of sit back and just watch. And so I think both of them, Sophie and Kari, gained a tremendous amount of knowledge just watching last year, and then having Lily and Taylor come in early, I think was a big deal. And we only got 2 days into the practice, and we play in 2 weeks, so it makes it really difficult to kind of teach everyone everything you want them to know. But we just talk about slowly building as the year goes on. It was nice to have those several pieces kind of watching for a bit.
With different puzzle pieces this year, how do you see the team mixing it all together to maybe learn from last season's mid-table to maybe push up the standings as far as the Big Ten goes this season?
Yeah, I think the Big Ten's always difficult, and every coach you're going to listen to, if you listen to Big Ten Media Days, everyone says that. It's always a battle no matter who you play. At the end of the day, you're trying to score more points to the team, obviously, and in our sport, you're trying to do it over 12 separate instances, 12 separate rotations. So I have one on offense, one on defense, and we got to put the best together to kind of score in whatever way you can. And so with those pieces that we've got, we're able to move pieces around. It might be beneficial for us to change someone on a matchup. If we need to shut down an outside, maybe we put it a different right side. Maybe if we want to shut down someone on the left side, we want to put it a different opposite. So it's just something that we've got a lot of pieces that we can move, and I think it's something that we'll at least try early on to see how it goes. And it's one thing to see it in practice. It's another thing to see it once we start in games and we got fans in the stands. But we get a good scrimmage here next Wednesday, so we'll get a chance to see that with the team, and then we'll get the season shortly after that.
How much more difficult does the Big Ten get next year when you get 4 more teams that are all pretty good?
They're all ranked. We went from having 7 teams in the top 25 to having maybe half the top 25 in the conference. And again, I've mentioned it lots of times. It's a part of the beauty of being in the conference. You get challenged every single time you step on the floor, and to my understanding, that's how you get better. So it's, you're going to have to rise up and just accept whatever challenge is in front of you. And that's part of the reason why I love this conference, and I know the players do too. And so it's of course going to be a challenge that who knows how the travel is going to work out and everything else. But at this moment in time, we're focused on this season. But just looking ahead. Briefly, it's 4 good teams who are consistently ranked in the top of the pack, and now they're joining the Big Ten. And again, we're just looking forward to all comers, and it's going to be one heck of a conference. So hopefully they'll accept more teams from the conference if that's the case for the tournament play. But it's every night's going to be about it.
As a West Coast guy, were you surprised to see the Pac-12 get killed off essentially?
A little bit. I grew up. My dad went to UCLA, so I grew up. Knowing the Pac-12 a little bit, and just within the last 5 years, I mean, with all the movement, it's been crazy, as everyone knows. And I don't know all the ins and outs, but it's a little bit weird to see kind of them being dissolved. But we're happy we have the teams that we do, and it's just going to make for a fun season in future seasons.
And John shared that he'd like to see divisions and postseason in the conference. Does this expansion change your thinking about what you'd like to see for the conference?
Yeah, I definitely think you're going to have to think of something, right? Football is a little bit different because you're playing one on a weekend, and that's what's you can build your whole travel for 1 week. We have to play 2 in a weekend and kind of go from there. And so I don't know what the full plan is yet, and just kind of based on some initial conversation, it seems like it's just still in the works right now. And so I think it's probably makes sense to have divisions, but again, I'll play whoever is in front of us, and with 18 teams now, right? And it's
for now.
Yeah, for now, and you're going to have 20 conference games. You might look at something you only play everyone once, or like you said, you play someone in your division or your region for 2 games and everyone else once. And so I think they're going to have to be creative in how they do the scheduling to make it somewhat fair, and just kind of go from there.
Your schedule for this season, did you want to stay local-ish for most of your non-conference schedule?
Yeah, I did. I get asked that a couple times. And, it's, last couple of years we've kind of been going around during preseason, but the rules changed this year. So for those that don't know, we're allowed to play our matches over 32 days instead of 28. So traditionally, we play 3 matches in a weekend with 2 in a day. We're talking about 3 matches in 24 hours. And from a student athlete welfare standpoint, I've been arguing for a long time, if we were to have 3 practices in 24 hours, I wouldn't have my job. And so just based on how they count their hours, it doesn't count for games, but we were able to push and kind of say, hey, let's have more games over more days instead of trying to cram it all in 2 days or whatever that may look like. So instead of playing every weekend, as you see on the schedule, we're playing midweeks. We're playing every third day, every fourth day, and so it didn't make sense for me to travel the team all the way cross country, then come back, have a day off that you're resting from your travel, and then having to get up and play. We're fortunate enough to have enough good teams in our state and around our state. It's still very competitive, do well in their conferences. And I also saw an opportunity as, NIL is a thing, and we want to showcase our team around the state. And get, there's a ton of Illini fans all over the state, north, south, east, west, and we wanted to get them out there, and we were able to do that during the spring match. Saw a ton of Illini fans come out, and we traveled around for our spring matches, and we kind of wanted to do the same this year. We were traveling around to these other locations as well.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Yeah.